right, so we are diving deep into the world of growth mindset today. I have been just like combing through all this fascinating material, and specifically this Unlock Your Potential podcast that you sent my way. And wow, this stuff is powerful.
Yeah, it is amazing how this concept of growth mindset has really taken off.
It really has.
And it's really backed up by, hard research. And the psychologist who really popularized this idea is Carol Dweck. She has done some fascinating work.
Oh, yeah.
One study she did showed that praising kids for their effort as opposed to their intelligence led to significant improvement in their math scores.
Really?
Yeah. And not only that, they were more willing to take on challenges and even persevere, when things got tough.
So instead of saying, wow, you're so smart, you say something like, wow, you really worked hard on that. And it shows.
Exactly.
So it's like a shift in focus.
Exactly. It's about fostering a belief in the ability to grow rather than just labeling them as smart or not smart. And this applies to adults too.
Oh, absolutely. I was just thinking about that. Like, instead of thinking, I'm just not a math person, it's more helpful to say, I haven't mastered math yet.
Right.
And that yet is really a game changer.
It really is. It's incredible how such a small shift in language can have a profound impact on our mindset. That word yet opens up possibilities.
Yeah.
It acknowledges that we're on a journey. We can continue to learn and evolve.
Instead of hitting a brick wall, you're hitting a door that just needs a little push.
Exactly.
I love that. So how does this growth mindset play out in real life? I know the podcast used a great example with Michael Jordan.
Ah, yes, the classic Michael Jordan story.
Being cut from his high school basketball team.
It's such a powerful illustration of how someone with a growth mindset can turn a perceived failure into fuel for success.
Right.
Imagine if he had taken that rejection as a sign that he just wasn't good enough.
He could have just quit, right?
Exactly. He could have given up on basketball altogether.
Totally.
But instead, he used it as motivation to practice even harder and improve himself.
And he certainly did.
He did. And there's that famous quote of his, I've failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed.
I love that.
Really drives this point home that, it's not about avoiding failure. It's about embracing it as part of the learning process.
Totally. So how do we actually cultivate this growth mindset?
Yeah.
Like, how do we take action?
Yeah.
The podcast laid out 6 steps.
Yeah, they did. And it's a fantastic roadmap.
It really is.
For anyone looking to embrace this growth mindset, and what I think is really interesting about those 6 steps is they all kind of build on each other.
They do. Okay, so let's dive into them a little bit.
Yeah.
The first step was embracing challenges. And I think a lot of times we shy away from things that feel difficult.
Right.
But this is saying we should actually seek them out.
Yeah, and it might seem kind of counterintuitive.
It does.
But it's true. Challenges push us beyond our comfort zones and force us to grow. Think about it like lifting weights. If you only ever lift the lightest weight,
you'll never get stronger.
Your muscles will never get stronger.
Exactly. It's like giving our brains a workout.
Exactly.
But how do we put this into practice?
Well, it starts with shifting our perspective. Instead of viewing challenges as threats, we need to see them as opportunities for growth.
So when we're faced with something that feels really tough, instead of thinking, I can't do this, maybe ask yourself, what can I learn from this challenge?
Precisely. It's about framing the challenge as a learning experience, a chance to expand our skills and knowledge.
Okay, that makes sense. What about when we make mistakes, though? Because I feel like that can be really discouraging.
Right.
How do we prevent those mistakes from totally like crushing our motivation? Because the podcast talks about learning from failure.
Yeah.
But how do we actually do that?
It's easy to get bogged down, in self-criticism when we make mistakes, but that's where the second step comes in learning from failure.
Right.
And it's about shifting our focus from I messed up to what can I learn from this so I can do better next time?
So it's like taking that step back and analyzing what went wrong.
Exactly. And extract those valuable lessons from the experience.
And remember, everybody makes mistakes.
They do.
It's part of the process.
Even the most successful people have experienced their fair share of failures.
Like Michael Jordan.
Exactly.
If he can bounce back,
exactly,
we can too.
We can too.
But I think a lot of people struggle with the idea of self-compassion, which is the 6th step on the list.
Yeah.
Because it can feel almost indulgent to be kind to ourselves, especially when we feel like we've messed up.
I understand that we're often our own harshest critics.
Oh, yeah.
But, self-compassion is not about letting ourselves off the hook or making excuses. It's about treating ourselves with the same kindness and understanding that we would offer to a friend who's struggling.
Yeah. So instead of saying, ugh, I'm so stupid for making that mistake, we could say, hey, it's okay. Everybody makes mistakes.
Yeah.
What can I learn from this and how can I move forward?
Exactly. It's about offering ourselves support and encouragement rather than judgment and criticism. And research shows that self-compassion actually leads to greater resilience and motivation.
That's really interesting. It's not just about like feeling good. It's about setting ourselves up for future success.
Exactly.
I like that. Okay, so we've talked about embracing challenges, learning from failure, self-compassion. Let's move on to some of these other steps. The podcast also mentioned surrounding ourselves with the right people.
Yes. The fourth step is all about surrounding yourself with growth-oriented people.
Yeah.
Think about it. The people we spend the most time with have a huge influence on our thoughts, beliefs, and behaviors.
So if we're constantly surrounded by negative people or people who doubt us, that can really bring us down.
Absolutely. But on the flip side, if we surround ourselves with people who are positive and supportive and believe in our potential, that can have an incredibly uplifting effect.
It's like having your own personal cheerleading squad.
Exactly.
But where do we find these amazing people?
Well, they're out there, and often they're drawn to the same things that interest you. Think about joining groups or attending events related to your hobbies, your passions, your career goals,
I see.
You're more likely to connect with like-minded individuals in those settings.
It's like putting yourself out there and being open to connecting with people who share your values.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to strike up conversations. Ask questions. Share your own journey. You never know who you might inspire or who might inspire you.
I love that it's like building this network of support and encouragement.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got embracing challenges, learning from failure,
Yeah.
self-compassion, surrounding ourselves with the right people. What about step 5, developing a love for learning?
This one is so important. It's about rekindling that natural curiosity that we all have as children.
Okay.
And approaching learning as an adventure rather than a chore.
Well, I think a lot of people associate learning with school.
Yeah.
And if they have negative memories from those days, how do we make learning fun and exciting again?
It's about finding what truly interests you and pursuing knowledge in a way that feels engaging and enjoyable. It doesn't have to be formal education.
Right.
It could be reading books, listening to podcasts, watching documentaries, taking online courses, attending workshops, or simply having conversations with people who are passionate about what they do.
It's like giving ourselves permission to be lifelong learners.
Exactly.
And to explore whatever sparks our interest.
Exactly. And the more we learn, the more we realize how much there is to discover.
That's true.
It's a never-ending journey of growth and exploration.
I love that. And that's what makes it exciting.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about 5 of the 6 steps.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that last one and how it all ties together.
Yeah, this last step ties everything together. And it's about adopting the power of yet and using it to reframe our self-talk.
So instead of, I'm not good at this, we say, I'm not good at this yet.
You got it.
Okay.
That simple addition of yet acknowledges that our abilities are not fixed, that we have the potential to learn and grow. Yeah.
So it's like instead of shutting yourself down,
Right.
you're opening up all these possibilities.
I agree.
But how do we make this power of yet a part of our daily lives?
It's about being mindful of our language and consciously choosing words that support a growth mindset. It's about catching ourselves when we're about to say something negative or limiting and reframing it in a more positive and empowering way.
So it's like training our brains to think differently.
Precisely.
Instead of focusing on the negative, we're focusing on growth and possibility.
And the more we practice this, the more natural it becomes.
It's like building a new mental muscle.
It is.
I love that. I can see how all of these steps work together to just create this shift in perspective.
Right.
So I'm curious, is there anything else we can do that maybe the podcast didn't specifically mention that can help solidify this growth mindset?
That's a great question. One incredibly powerful tool that I think often gets overlooked is the power of visualization.
Ooh, visualization. Tell me more.
It's all about using our imaginations to create vivid mental images of ourselves, achieving our goals, overcoming challenges, living the life we desire.
So it's like creating this mental movie of our success.
Exactly. And the more detailed and emotionally engaging we can make that movie, the more powerful it becomes.
But how does that help us develop a growth mindset?
Well, our brains have an incredible ability to create our realities. The more we focus on something, the more real it becomes to us, even if it hasn't actually happened yet.
So if we visualize ourselves achieving a goal, We're tricking our brains into believing it's possible.
Exactly.
Which then makes it more likely to happen.
Exactly. It's like planting seeds in our subconscious mind, and the more we water those seeds with these positive visualizations, the more likely they are to sprout and grow.
That's amazing. I think we need to dive deeper into this visualization technique.
I agree.
And how we can actually use it to unlock our potential.
There's so much to explore there.
There is.
Yeah.
We will. Okay, so we're back and ready to unlock those secrets of visualization like you were saying before the break.
Yeah.
Our brains can't really tell the difference between what we imagine and what is actually real.
Right.
Which is a pretty big deal.
It is a big deal. It means that we have the power to shape our realities to some extent simply by changing how we think and what we focus on.
That's pretty powerful stuff.
It is.
So how do we actually do it effectively? Like, do we have to be like a meditation guru sitting on a mountaintop?
Well, you definitely don't need a mountaintop. The most important thing is to find a quiet space where you can relax and focus.
Okay.
It could be your bedroom, your office, even a park bench, anywhere you feel comfortable and can tune out distractions.
So set the scene.
Yeah.
And then what?
Close your eyes. Take a few deep breaths and allow your mind to settle.
Okay.
And then start to create a mental image of yourself achieving your goal, whatever that goal may be. But don't just picture it. Try to engage all of your senses. What do you see, hear, feel, smell, even taste? The more vivid you make it, the more real it will feel to your brain.
So if my goal is to give like a killer presentation at work, I wouldn't just picture myself standing at the podium.
Right.
I would imagine like the feeling of confidence surging through me, the sounds of applause, maybe even the taste of victory, like a celebratory latte afterward.
Exactly. You want to create a multi-sensory experience that evokes positive emotions, and don't be afraid to add in some creative flair, Make it fun, make it memorable.
It's like a movie in my mind.
Exactly.
But what if those negative thoughts creep in? Like, what if I start visualizing myself tripping on the way to the podium or completely forgetting my words?
Yeah, those thoughts are totally normal. Don't try to fight them or push them away. That often just makes them stronger.
Right.
Instead, simply acknowledge them and gently redirect your focus back to your positive visualization.
So it's like those meditation apps where they tell you to notice your thoughts like clouds passing by?
Exactly.
You don't judge them, you just let them float on through.
The goal isn't to eliminate negative thoughts entirely. It's to train our minds to not get so caught up in them.
Right. Okay. I can see how this could really be a game changer for like building confidence and motivation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So let's get back to those 6 steps in the podcast for a minute. We talked about surrounding yourself with growth-oriented people.
Right.
Which I totally agree with.
Right.
But what if you're kind of stuck with the people you're with, like your coworkers or your family aren't exactly like radiating those growth mindset vibes?
Yeah.
Do you have any advice for navigating that?
That's a great question and a common challenge. Remember, you don't have to cut people out of your life or try to change them.
Okay.
Instead, focus on what you can control, which is your own mindset and actions.
So it's like you can't control the wind, but you can adjust your sails.
Exactly. And remember, you can still benefit from interacting with people who have different perspectives,
Right.
It's all about being open to learning from everyone and everything around you.
Yeah, diversity of thought, I feel like, can spark some pretty cool insights.
Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of learning, the podcast also emphasized developing a love for learning. But honestly, after years of like school and standardized tests, the word learning kind of makes me cringe.
I hear you, but learning doesn't have to be about textbooks and exams,
Okay.
It's about cultivating a sense of curiosity and wonder about the world around us. It's about seeking out new knowledge experiences, perspectives, simply for the joy of expanding our minds.
So it's about finding that inner child again.
Exactly.
One who is fascinated by everything and asked a million questions.
Exactly. Think about what you loved to learn about as a kid. What sparked your curiosity? Was it dinosaurs, space travel, art, music? Reconnect with those passions and allow yourself to explore them with a fresh perspective.
Yeah, so instead of feeling pressured to learn something useful or practical,
right,
we should just follow our interests and see where they lead.
I think that's a fantastic approach, and don't be afraid to try new things, to step outside of your comfort zone,
Totally.
You never know what you might discover about yourself and the world around you.
Okay, I'm ready to embrace my inner explorer.
I love that.
But I think for a lot of people, myself included, there's this fear of failure that holds them back.
Right.
How do we overcome that?
Well, remember, failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of the journey. Everyone makes mistakes. It's how we learn and grow. The key is to shift our perspective on failure.
Okay.
So
instead of seeing it as a sign that we're not good enough, we should view it as a learning experience.
Exactly. And that's where self-compassion comes in again.
Okay.
Be kind to yourself when you make mistakes.
Yeah.
Don't beat yourself up. Instead, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I do better next time?
So turning a negative experience into a positive opportunity for growth.
Exactly.
I love that. Okay. But sometimes those challenges can feel really big, especially when it comes to like achieving our goals.
Yeah.
So how do we stay motivated and focused when things get tough?
One strategy that can be really helpful is to break down large goals into smaller, more manageable steps. This makes the goal feel less overwhelming and allows you to celebrate your progress along the way.
So instead of trying to climb Mount Everest in one go,
right,
we should focus on setting up base camp.
Exactly.
And then making our way up gradually.
Exactly. And each time you reach a milestone, no matter how small, take the time to acknowledge and celebrate your achievement.
I like that.
This will help to boost your motivation and keep you moving forward.
Yeah, celebrating those small wins, I feel like can make a big difference in staying positive and motivated.
Absolutely.
But what about when we feel like we're just not making any progress? Like no matter how hard we try.
Yeah.
How do we deal with those feelings of frustration and self-doubt?
It's important to remember that progress isn't always linear,
Right.
There will be times when you feel like you're taking 2 steps forward and 1 step back.
Yeah.
And that's perfectly normal.
So it's like a dance, not a march.
Yeah.
Sometimes we groove forward, sometimes we step back to gather momentum.
I love that analogy. And during those times when you feel stuck, it can be helpful to revisit your why,
Okay.
Why is this goal important to you? What are you hoping to achieve?
Okay.
Reconnecting with your purpose can really reignite your passion and motivation.
So when we lose sight of the bigger picture,
yes,
it's easy to get discouraged by those day-to-day challenges.
Exactly.
But reminding ourselves of our why can help us stay focused.
Absolutely. And remember, you're not alone on this journey. Everyone faces setbacks and challenges. The key is to embrace the process, learn from your experiences, and never give up on your dreams.
Oh, that's so good. I'm feeling so inspired right now, but I think we need to take a quick break to let all this wisdom sink in.
Yes.
And we'll be right back to wrap things up and leave our listeners with some final thoughts on how to truly unlock their potential.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are back, and my mind is still like buzzing from all this talk about growth, mindset, and visualization.
It is pretty amazing.
It's powerful stuff.
How much power we really do have to shape our own reality. Yeah.
Simply by changing our thoughts and our beliefs.
Totally. And like you said, the beauty of this is that it can apply to like any area of life.
Any area.
Whether you're trying to learn a new skill, advance your career, improve your relationships, or just become like a better version of yourself.
Absolutely. It all starts with embracing the belief that you are capable of growth and change.
Yeah, I love that. It's like giving ourselves permission to evolve and become who we're meant to be. But I think sometimes that inner critic can be so loud.
Oh, it can be.
And convincing. How do we quiet those negative voices in our heads and start believing in ourselves more?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, self-compassion is a powerful tool for dealing with that inner critic.
Okay.
Instead of beating yourself up for your mistakes or shortcomings, try to treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer to a good friend.
Yeah. So it's okay to be human.
It is.
And we all make mistakes. So it's about offering ourselves grace and encouragement rather than judgment and criticism. And remember, self-compassion isn't about making excuses or letting ourselves off the hook.
Right.
It's about creating a more supportive and nurturing inner environment that allows us to learn and grow from our experiences.
That makes sense, because when we're constantly like beating ourselves up, it's hard to have the energy and the motivation to move forward.
It is.
But when we're kind to ourselves, it creates this space for growth and positive change.
Exactly. And, one of the most powerful things we can do to cultivate self-compassion is to practice gratitude.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Gratitude can really shift things for us.
It's amazing how focusing on what we're grateful for can instantly boost our mood.
Totally.
And make us feel more positive and optimistic. And when we're feeling good, we're more likely to believe in ourselves and our ability to achieve our goals.
Oh, so maybe like a good daily practice would be to take a few minutes each morning and just write down like 3 things we're grateful for.
I think that's a fantastic idea. It's a simple but powerful way to start the day on a positive note and set ourselves up for success.
I'm going to do that.
Awesome.
I love that. Okay, so before we wrap things up, I want to like circle back to that word yet
Yes.
that you were talking about earlier, and how powerful it can be to add that one little word to our self-talk.
It's such a simple shift,
Yeah.
but it can make a world of difference.
Instead of saying, I can't do this, we say, I can't do this yet.
Yeah.
It opens up the possibility.
It does.
It's like, I'm on a journey. I'm still in progress.
Mm-hmm.
I have the potential to achieve anything I set my mind to.
Exactly. It's about embracing the process.
Yeah.
The ups and downs.
The learning that comes along the way.
Exactly.
I'm so excited to start putting all of these ideas into practice.
Me too.
This whole deep dive into growth mindset has been incredible.
It has. It's been a pleasure exploring this with you.
Likewise. And remember, everybody, a growth mindset is a journey, not a destination. It's about continually challenging yourself to learn and grow.
Yeah.
Embracing setbacks as opportunities and believing in your own limitless potential.
Absolutely.
I love that. So if you're ready to unlock your own potential and create a life you truly love,
Yes.
embrace the power of a growth mindset.
I agree.
Start by incorporating some of the strategies we've talked about today and watch as your world transforms.
And never stop learning, growing, and exploring all the amazing possibilities that life has to offer.
That is such a great note to end on. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
And to all of our listeners out there, until next time, keep diving deep and keep reaching for those dreams.